March the 11th, 2020. I'm your host, Sean King. Sean King. Thank you guys very much for joining me here this Wednesday evening. Joined as always by my lovely wife, Melissa. Hey, Melissa.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good.
Good. Untitled Show, we're going to talk to our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. We're going to talk to Jim about... Hang on. I had it right here. Where'd it go? Crap. There it is. We're going to talk more coronavirus cancellations. E3 was canceled. They're limiting the attendance at NCAA basketball games. A bunch of things are canceled, will be canceled. South by Southwest was canceled. Talk to you about that and much more. We're going to do a review of the Tranya Rimor earpods. These are little itty bitty teeny tiny earpods. The short version is they're pretty damn good. There are some problems. We'll talk about those in the review a little later on the show. And then in our starting point photography segment, we're talking about... we're also going to talk about working from home. Do you do that? Would you do that? Can you do that? Not everyone can. Talk a little bit about my experiences working from home and some of Jim's and some of yours too, if you'd like. So send me an email to sean@yourmaclifeshow.com. Tell me about your experience working from home. And then on our starting point photography segment, if we have time, I don't know if we'll have time tonight, can better gear make you a better photographer? We'll talk about that and much more coming up a little later on in the show. Is he here yet? Is Monty here? Monty's not here. I was hoping Monty was be here because we want to talk about how Monty said he's having internet issues, so he'll be late. How nuts Monty is. He's going on a cruise in May for 21 days. He's gonna be trapped on a germ incubator factory for 21 days. We'll talk to Jim about this, but we were talking about it on the pre-show. The price of cruises and flights and hotels have fallen dramatically. Price decreases of 25% and more, and there will be more as time goes on. Would you be tempted to travel now? Melissa and I were talking about this. I saw this deal from Vancouver to New York City, return for $230 Canadian, which is nuts. That trip is usually $700 odd. And it's tempting. Would you be tempted? If you could find one of these insane deals, would you be tempted to go on a flight, on a cruise, on a vacation now? I don't know. I think myself personally, I would. But Melissa has very real issues with this. We're actually going over to Vancouver, the big city, next Tuesday. We're going to be in, not a crowd, we're going to Costco. Nothing special. This is how sad our lives are. We're both really looking forward to going to Costco.
It's fun going.
It is fun going to Costco, yeah. But
I think it's pathetic more that I got so excited that we got a new toilet seat.
That's right. You couldn't even wait for me to get home for you. Put it on.
It's beautiful.
All by yourself, by the way, which is very, very good. But you are worried about going to Costco.
I am.
For good reason, too. I mean, we talked about it on last week. Did you get any emails from folks about last week's show?
No.
Are you sure?
Well, no, I don't think so.
Because I think the person who wrote you an email is going to be hurt.
I got a lovely... Oh, my goodness, I'm sorry. Yes, I did. Well, it usually comes up with a number that I have. I got one from Mo.
Would you like to read your emails?
And I got one from Sean Minter. So...
Are you going to read the emails to folks?
So, Mr. Mo says... Thank you for discussing your stenosis on YML and the casual misdiagnosis of many medical problems that women have last week. You can't have been entirely comfortable to discuss something so personal, and I appreciate it. You're welcome. Hope you're otherwise well and that this disease does not hinder you any more than it already has. Thank you, Mo. You're love. And Sean says, wow, thanks, Melissa. As a male with asthma, I was profoundly appreciative of your openness to your health. You are so right to lead the charge on how women are misdiagnosed. It is an issue. I know you will make the right decision no matter what it is. On a lighter note, you do realize that if you are hospitalized, we will only have Sean's face to look at for 90 minutes per week. Please take care and live long and prosper. Madman Minter. Thank you, Sean.
Screw you, Sean. Mosquito says, shopping can be fun if you're with the right person, especially if there's hokey music to dance to while you're strolling down the aisles.
We do have fun.
We do. We have fun no matter where we
We
go.
had someone even comment one day and say, you guys are having way too much fun. So,
But there's some things you can and should do. You know, wash your hands frequently, as you pointed out. What was the thing you pointed out about washing your hands? Why it works so well?
oh, because the surrounding the cell of this virus is all these lipids and proteins, and it breaks down with soap, which is really good news, isn't it? So that means if while we're washing our hands thoroughly, like for the full, I don't know if you've ever tried to wash your hands for the full 2 minutes.
20 seconds, I heard.
Some of the new faucets, they don't stop until...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then you're thinking, gosh, this is it. So you know that if you leave the bathroom and that's still on, people are going to give you a funny look. It feels like a long time.
I'm pretty good about washing my hands very thoroughly. I like washing my hands.
I do too.
So I do it. I don't do it as often as I should. And certainly, we're not in a high-risk environment in general or a high-risk family. Melissa is slightly for general childhood diseases because she goes out in the school system, and I never leave the house, so I'm not getting anything. But I have a thing about having dirty fingernails. I hate having dirty fingernails.
Oh, I do too.
The rest of my body, I can be in the mud. I don't care, but I will clean my fingernails first before doing nails. So that helps a little bit. Also, 70% alcohol solutions. Not more and not less. If you think, well, I'll just wash my hands with pure alcohol. The water in it allows the alcohol to get into the cells of the bacteria, the viruses, whatever the bad things are. Too much alcohol in the solution won't get into the cell, won't penetrate.
Okay.
And for most common cold type viruses, 60% alcohol solutions are fine, but this one in particular, it's got to be 70% or more. Generally around 70% alcohol solutions. And just do it frequently. Stay out of large groups. It's if you can work from home, we'll talk about this later, work from home as much as you can. Minimize your exposure, especially if you are exposed to and or work with people who are at a higher risk, seniors. We've had one fatality here in the Vancouver area, and it was because a worker had the virus, didn't know, had the virus, went to work at an old folks home, and several of the old folks caught it, and one of the old people died because they're just old. Their immune systems are not as strong. The problem is, like we've heard from in other situations, some people can't do that. They can't. I'm going to cover up Melissa's face here for a second. My apologies while I show you guys. This has got to be literally the stupidest tweet I've seen with regards to all of this. This person says, if you contracted COVID today and did not have employer paid sick time to use and needed to pay your bills, would you continue to work? Yes! 95% of people would.
But it's a good question to ask, because then you get the answers to it, realizing that people go, yes.
They don't have a choice.
I have to go to work. So,
and the lower you are on the wage scale, the more likely you would be to be forced to go to work, and more likely to be in a service industry
and
serving
said,
people.
Yeah, being in retail.
Yep. Retail or food services, you work at McDonald's. You know, you're on the second shift at McDonald's. You're making minimum wage. You're working 3 jobs at different places, trying to get 40 hours a week, and even 40 hours a week doesn't pay enough for rent. You got roommates. Blah, blah, blah. If you get sick, yes, you're going to work, especially because you're contagious even before symptoms present themselves. So you can wake up one morning and feel, a little bit of a sniffle. Well, that's annoying, and go to work because you have to.
Well, but you're not going to know anyway. You're just going to think you're not
But
going to be able to know for maybe a week or 2 weeks.
But at some point, you're going to start presenting your symptoms to yourself: a stuffy nose, not feeling well, blah blah blah. We've all gone to work feeling that way.
Oh, most people do.
And because
especially
these
women.
folks have to. If I want to get paid this week, I have to go to work. If I want to make my rent at the end of the month, I have to go to work. And I can't afford to go to the doctor too, by the way.
I was going to say, so what if you're just an average American person, you know, working your butt off on several jobs,
Yep.
and you don't have medical coverage? How do you go to...
You go to a free clinic. You go to emergency with 1,000 other people.
Well, then what's...
Exactly. This issue is going to show a lot of the holes and faults in everyone's system,
Yep.
healthcare system. America more so than most because of the fact that there are 30 million more, I think, 37 million uninsured Americans. The entire population of Canada. Imagine the entire population of Canada with no health insurance.
Yeah, no, I can't.
And then there's another 10, 20 million people who are underinsured. I have to go to the doctor and pay the doctor $50. Maybe I don't got $50. You know, it's near the end of the month. I ain't getting paid for another 10 days. I got a bit of a cold. I can't give the doctor $50 to go get tested for what might just be a cold. It's going to, and as I said, it's going to get worse before it gets better. Later on in the show, we're going to talk to our friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com about these issues and more. Also going to talk about working from home with Jim. Also, I'm going to have a review of the Tranya Rimor earpods. Terrible name, interesting product. We'll talk about that. And if we have time, we're going to talk about can better gear make you a better, what was that?
Oh, I'm just glad MacMan says that he's lucky he has good insurance,
Yes.
and probably all the 5 to 6 weeks of his PTO.
Paid time off.
Paid time off. Excellent.
Good news.
Good.
So all that and more coming up right after this. This is your Mac Life. Welcome back, folks. Thank you guys very much for joining me here this Wednesday evening. On our phone, as always, we have our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. Jim, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm ready to bolt from Dodge here.
Yeah, are you saying under the bridge isn't safe any longer?
No, I found a bridge in Mexico that I'm going to go to
Nice.
for a little while.
Now,
Yeah.
are you serious? Or are you actually traveling?
I am. I'm going to leave on Saturday, and I was going to go for a week, but now I'm staying for 2 weeks.
That's right. That's self-preservation. That brings up
Yeah.
the question: does that worry you?
Here,
Well, I mean, does,
to be perfectly honest, we had this planned long before.
sure, but still,
So, does it worry me to go to Mexico?
yeah.
Oh, hell no.
It doesn't worry you getting into an airport, getting on a plane.
Now, see, that's all in the U.S.
So that part worries you, is what you're saying.
But going to Mexico, no, that doesn't worry me. I mean, it's probably safer down there than what it is and where I am right now. You know,
I don't know how it's being portrayed there in California, Northern California. Here in Canada, it's being portrayed as just be cautious. There's no need to panic. There's no need to stockpile toilet paper. I don't know why people are doing
Right.
that, but
I know.
Our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, came out today and said there was $1 billion fund to help people out. It seems like a very measured response. We've had our local here in BC, British Columbia, our local health authorities on TV almost every day. We have had one death here in the Vancouver area. There's less than 100 cases across Canada. How is it being portrayed in California?
They're freaking out.
Really?
Oh yeah. You know, it's. I mean. With all of the, you know, you have the cruise ship that just came in
Yes.
to town that was stuck out in the bay for a while.
Yep.
And they wouldn't dock it in San Francisco, so they docked it in Oakland.
Yeah. Thanks. By the way, folks, Oakland is the black area of San Francisco. So all the brothers are like, "Are you shitting me?"
Well, and people in Oakland were really upset. And yeah, I can see that. But the governor said that they have better facilities to unload the passengers. Yeah. So, so my dog just got home from a haircut and I don't recognize her. Oh my God. She looks like a little rat.
I hate when they do that. That's just terrible.
Oh my God.
Because then other dogs like mine make fun of your dog. It's just humiliating.
I know.
Just humiliating.
So yeah, I mean, you have the whole tech community here, and they are companies, Google and Facebook and Apple are shutting things down. I mean, this is, as far as I can remember back, this is unprecedented in what's been happening. And, you know, you have big conferences that are being shut down. You have companies that are saying, stay home from work and work at home. So not even, you know, go to work and be good. You know, I'm sorry. I'm laughing at my dog. I mean, I told the guy to take half off. You saw a picture of her before, how furry she was.
Yes.
She's almost bald. Like,
just mean.
Except for her tail, that's still bushy. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, it's a big thing down here, and some companies have extended the deadline for working at home. You know, like you know, Apple said last week that the offices are open and they're trying to be safe, and you know, I know a lot of people there are working from home. Google, same thing, Facebook, but you know, I think it's the best thing right now because there are quite a few cases in this area.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that is, you know, if people traveling to the area or what's going on, but yeah.
Do you have any concerns personally?
Well, I'm too old and ugly to get sick, so
You know that beer does not give you any sort of protection, right?
It's my superpower. It'll catch everything.
It'll filter everything. That's right.
I don't need a mask. I
That's
have a big beard. So I'm not that concerned, to be honest. But then again, I'm not in a work environment where other people just came back from trips or it's something like that. So I don't have to worry about that stuff. But I don't know. I mean, you read accounts in news, and some of this stuff is just wacky how it comes up. So,
well, one of the things that I posted on the Loop about was, if you get a chance, you can go to skylinewebcams.com and check out all the webcams from Italy. Italy is shut down. The country has shut down. And
literally. I've
been to Italy, and one of the most amazing things, and I thought I could do this. It's now, where's the clock? It's now 1:56 a.m. on Thursday morning in Italy. So there's not going to be a lot of traffic anyway. So when I was there, I thought this would be the perfect time to go to the Trevi Fountain and take pictures. Right. It's a beautiful, spectacularly beautiful fountain. And
absolutely.
I thought, I'll do it. And I went at about midnight, 1 o'clock. Well, the webcam for the Trevi Fountain shows there's nobody there. It is literally empty. And you see that for everything around Rome, the Colosseum, in Florence, the piazzas, in Milan, the cathedrals. There are no people. It's like a zombie apocalypse movie with everything shut down. That could happen here. There is no reason to believe that unless something drastic is done ahead of time, that wouldn't happen here. Italy was very slow in recognizing and then doing anything about this, so it spread very, very quickly, and we all know what exponential data is. Exponentially, people got sick. People spread it faster and faster than anyone could have imagined. So it's possible it could happen here in North America, and certainly in other places as well. Jim just sent me a picture of his dog, and that's not a dog, that's a small rat. What the hell happened?
Well, you saw the picture of her before. She was fluffy and furry and everything else. And that poor thing.
That's just cruel, man.
That was cruel. I mean, she came home and stood at the door and looked at me like, fuck you.
That's right. You. You dick. This is your fault.
Oh, she is mad.
I don't blame her.
Yeah, I don't blame her either.
So yeah, that's going to be an issue. We've heard that the NCAA has said there will be no audiences, there will be no fans at the tournament coming up. Spring training is starting in baseball soon, as well as baseball games.
And so let's get back to the NCAA. I didn't realize till a couple of years ago how popular this thing is in the States.
Oh God, yes, it's huge.
Hugely popular. But you know what that's going to do? That's just people are now going to go to the bar and watch the games.
Fair, yeah, no kidding.
So how much difference does that make in something that is so big and popular? Now, to be clear, when this is on, I'll be in Mexico, so I don't really care. But but everybody is just going to gather at their local pub then. Yeah. So everybody is still going to be gathered. I mean, I'm not saying that it's a bad decision to stop that, but in San Jose, Santa Clara County has said that they have banned any event over 1,000 people.
And how many people will WWDC hold?
5,000 developers.
Yeah.
Plus all of now to be clear about this though, the ban is only in effect for about 3 weeks.
Yeah. Which come on, that's ridiculous. This is not going to be gone away in 3 weeks. Well,
they have to start somewhere, and I understand why they did 3 weeks, because if they said for 6 months, then people will be saying, "What the hell?" Yeah. So they said 3 weeks, but I know that every company is reevaluating their, work from home for a week or 2 weeks or whatever it is. They're reevaluating that as things go by and extending that.
Yep.
I don't know about Apple, but some of the other companies here, I've talked to people, and yeah, they're extending that already. So, for a county to do it, that you're looking at Golden State Warriors, and you're looking at the San Jose Sharks and the soccer team that's here, and all of these different sporting events and concerts at SAP. So they're just saying, no, absolutely not. You're not going to do that. Now, we talked about this last week, where Apple is a ways out yet.
Nah,
so
not far enough out.
Well, like I said, to me, the thing is going to be, do they start registration? If they start registration, then because then people are going to book planes and hotels. Apple's not going to cover that if they decide to cancel it.
Yep.
So if Apple takes registration, then to me, that's a big thing. And we haven't heard boo about that.
Given the situation, Apple can't put on a WWDC. There's just no way they can do it. Look at everything that's been canceled. South by Southwest last week, E3 this week, the New York Auto Show, the Geneva Auto Show, basketball, spring training undoubtedly coming up soon. Apple cannot say that they're going to put on a WWDC. There's no way they can. They can't do it. Especially because they can do a lot of WWDC online remotely. They've closed all their stores in Italy. They're limiting the number of people in their stores in the US and other places. Apple's they're telling workers to work from home if they can. Apple's doing a lot of things already, and for them to go ahead with the WWDC would be irresponsible and put the lie to all the other things that they've done.
Yeah, and we talked about that too last week.
Yep.
I mean, would you feel comfortable in walking into a keynote with 5,000 people?
No, not at all.
Probably not. Just because you don't know who they know that, I mean, do you block people from Italy and China?
Yep,
do you block people from New York because they're the biggest ones in the U.S. right now, followed pretty closely, from what I understand, by the Bay Area. So do we block everybody from the Bay Area going? Well, now you've got 30 people at WDC.
Which brings up the question, in its last iteration in 2014, Macworld Expo was at the end of March. Would you be going to Macworld Expo this year if it was still around?
Oh, no.
Yeah, neither would I. I would do the interviews that I did at Macworld Expo over the phone. There's no way I'd get on a plane and go to that germ factory that was Macworld. Because we said this on last week's show. A lot of us got sick after Macworld Expo with just some sort of, convention crud, whatever it was, conference crud. It just felt like shit for a week.
Well, yeah. And, that has happened so many times. And anybody that goes to a trade show knows that, it's the trade show sickness. You're going to get sick. But this is different. I mean, this is hugely different. So right now, I can't see Apple putting on WDC. But again, we're still, 3 months out?
Yeah,
so
but even
2.5 months out.
But they're going to have to announce something by the end of March, the beginning of April?
Well, I don't even know about that, because let's say that all of a sudden the coronavirus is fixed, it's going away, and Apple holds its registration. They could hold it a week before and still fill the place.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt about that. Yeah.
So, but I mean, obviously they have to plan ahead.
Yep.
And, we're looking at it from the perspective that we're at now. And most companies are canceling events that are around 30 days out. That's what we've been looking at. So, I dare say that Apple is in touch, as is Facebook and Google, with, executives at the World Health Organization and the CDC, unlike us who just read the news. I mean, they're actually there in touch with these people saying, what are we looking at? And, many of them have decided to cancel the events. And to be perfectly clear, and I just said this to a guy on Twitter who said that, Italy has shut down. It was about your post on Apple closing the stores. And he said, well, Italy just shut down all business. So this is kind of superfluous because they basically had to. And I said, no, I get your point, but Apple has been very proactive so far in dealing with this. And we don't know how long these plans have been in the making because they did it in China already, with their stores. So, I get that. I don't know if people are reacting just because it's Apple or what, but they have been very proactive.
I think the biggest concern in America is represented in this tweet. I read it off earlier from Melissa Crawfood. If you contracted the virus today and did not have employer-paid sick time to use and needed to pay your bills, would you continue to go to work? 68% of people said yes. That's terrifying. That is where the disease is going to spread, is from the people who are forced to go to work because of the lack of a healthcare system that poor people can use in America. That's got to be terrifying.
I don't know if you or the listeners heard of this story. I read with shock and disappointment. It might have even been yesterday or the day before. So I think it was in Missouri. A girl was tested preemptive positive for coronavirus.
Yeah.
And they told the family to self-quarantine. So the girl, who obviously they didn't name any names, but the girl said, okay, I'm not going to. There was a father-daughter dance, and the guy had two daughters. This one that was preemptive, yes, which means I guess that they think that she has it and self-quarantine till we know for sure.
Sure.
The other daughter, they didn't know anything about at this point, but they told the entire family self-quarantine.
Sure.
Stay at home. Obviously, that's the safest thing to do.
Yes.
What did the father do? He took the other daughter to the father-daughter dance.
What?
Yeah.
But if the one daughter is potentially ill, so's the other daughter.
And so are you.
Oh, Jesus.
So he took... Since then, that night, they had to shut down the school so that they could clean everything.
Yeah.
They had to do all of this stuff, and I wish I knew who it was that was giving the statement and press conference. I think it was like a public health official or something, said that we relied on people's common sense and goodwill.
Jeez. That's never a good idea.
When you self-quarantine, that is what is happening, though. And I agree with him. If you say, you know what, your daughter has a preemptive, we think she has coronavirus, and then you take your, now, to be clear, this one daughter refused to go.
Yeah,
the one that was she refused to go. She stayed home. And the father took the other daughter and went.
Jesus.
Now, that is the kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Like you're talking about where it spreads. Now, I haven't heard whether there's been any spread or any, whatever. I read that story and I was just kind of disgusted with the whole thing. Like, really? I mean, you were actually warned.
Yep.
Self-quarantine. Stay at home. I mean, don't go to a high school dance, a father-daughter dance, and risk putting other people in harm's way.
Yep. This brings up the whole working from home issue. As we said earlier, a lot of companies have told their employees to work from home. A lot of people can't work from home. Obviously, if you work at McDonald's, you're not working from home. But there is a lot of people in this kind of economy, in the kind of tech industry, who theoretically can work from home. I assume you've been working from home now for, what, 20 years now? Or working from under the bridge?
I've been working from home since 1994, really.
Before you got fired at CNET, did you have a desk there? Before security escorted you out of Macworld, did you have a desk there?
Oh my God, my career is going downhill here. So I was not fired from CNET. I left CNET. And yes, I was laid off from Macworld. Jason Snell did that, and I felt bad for Jason. Considering
how they treated him a couple of years later.
Yeah, honestly, that was a very difficult conversation for me.
Absolutely, but for Jason too, because it wasn't his decision.
It wasn't, and I felt very bad for him, and I've never held a grudge against Jason. We're still friends now. So working from home is an interesting thing, and I don't agree with the New York Times on this.
Yeah, that's where I was going.
Because, I don't. I mean, that when I read that article that you posted, I thought, what are they even talking about? Now, there was, before we started Mac Central, which led to where I am now.
Under a bridge.
under a bridge. Well, I'm doing better than the other guys. So.
Yeah, true. Good point. Yeah.
So I worked at a newspaper for probably 10 years.
Yeah.
And there was a strike, you would know this, in Cape Breton.
Yeah.
And so it got so busy for us that we had to send up a whole bunch of people. And this guy, so they said, wear jeans and a t-shirt, just get the job done. Yeah. Just get out there and get the job done. So this guy would dress up every day in a suit. And he said, I can't work unless I'm in a suit.
Yeah, yeah.
So I understand that there are some people out there that can't work from home. And for you and I, having done this for I'm on my 26th, 27th year or something.
Same here.
I can do this. I can focus when I need to focus on work. I can do this. Yep. And I can sit down and I can be anywhere in the house or like I am now outside drinking beer. I usually don't drink beer when I'm working. And it's just now I have trouble. When I used to go to the Macworld offices, I had trouble concentrating in the office. Yeah. So for people to say, and this person that you mentioned in the article is writing a book on this.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, obviously he's not talking to the right people.
Yeah. Yep.
Because if he's writing a book on this, then I would have to say he's completely wrong.
I think it depends on
what he's saying.
I think it depends on who you are as a person, whether you can work from home efficiently and well, and whether you can do it
exactly
2 days out of the week, or whether you do it 5 days out of the week. Everyone's different. You've got to set up. But I do believe that it does take a couple of years to get used to working from home. You can't. I don't think you can do it on an ad hoc basis over the next couple of months, kind of thing, because you haven't had the practice.
Well, here's the thing: when we were working from home, starting Mac Central, that was, if you want to eat, you got to work.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, this wasn't like working for a Google or an Apple or Facebook and saying, hey, I'm going to work from home and I'm just going to watch Netflix all day. Right. Exactly. It wasn't like that, because if we didn't work and get the job done, we didn't get to eat that month.
Yep.
And that is a totally different thing, I'll tell you. So you learn pretty quick, like, okay, I got to get stuff done. And I got to get more done than everybody that's sitting in an office in Silicon Valley. So, yeah, I mean, you can be thrown into the fire, I guess, like we were. But for people, I understand how it's difficult for people, and this is probably what this guy is looking at. If you take people that they turn off when they get home, and when they go to work and they're in an office, then they do their job and they're doing their thing and all of that kind of stuff. I get that. That is very difficult.
Jim, breaking news, literally as we speak, President Donald Trump suspends all U.S. travel to and from Europe for the next 30 days. CNN breaking news. Trump made the decision in order to keep new cases from entering our shores. We will be suspending all travel from Europe to the United States for the next 30 days. The new rules are going to effect Friday at midnight. Trump said there will be certain exemptions made for certain Americans. He says these prohibitions will not only apply to the tremendous amount of trade and cargo, but various other things. These restrictions will not apply to the United Kingdom, Trump said. So that sounds kind of confusing. If he's saying all U.S. travel, that means people. But if he's saying will not only apply to trade and cargo, that's food and goods and cars and all kinds of other things. This is a big deal to be happening live right here on Your Mac Life.
Wow. So I may be in Mexico a bit longer. If he extends
no kidding,
that
because it could conceivably be extended in. But you know what? If you got to be trapped someplace, a beach in Mexico is not a bad place to be. I got some nice bridges you can live under there.
There is one bridge in particular that I just love.
You like it that
one?
Yeah,
it's all stone and it's got an arch, but every once in a while it does flood, so people die. You
pay your money, you take your chances. This is a big deal. Our friend MacMan just got his just now got his European vacation just canceled just now, live on national TV. He just got told he ain't going to Ireland.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, I'm so sorry for you, MacMan.
And you can bet that this will crater the stock market starting tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Pacific time.
Oh my God! So, if I can ask, where MacMan, where were you going in Ireland?
He was going. Where in Ireland, MacMan? Were you? I don't know why I had to repeat that because he can hear you. But yeah, this is a big deal. This is a huge step to close off Europe, because he's saying that all of Europe, except bizarrely enough the UK, is a potential vector for entering into the United States goods and services, goods and people and cargo and food.
Crap.
And think about all the things that he just said can't come into the U.S. for the next 30 days.
Prices are going to skyrocket.
MacMan's going to London. Dave D was going to Ireland on April 30th, so maybe that'll be up for Dave D. Sherry, yes, he says excluding the UK. That's what CNN is reporting, folks. But it seems that seems confusing to me, which is not unusual when it comes to Trump. Why would you exclude the UK just because they're an island?
Yeah, well, that doesn't make sense. I mean,
not a lot of things do from this guy. Tesla has produced its 1 millionth car. Congratulations to the folks at Tesla. Good for them. Now, I know you just bought a new vehicle. Why didn't you look to an electric?
That's actually a very good question.
I do my best.
I well, you don't often succeed, but this time you did. So,
hey, are you coughing? What the hell? Oh wait, never mind.
What was that? No, I'm smoking.
Okay, good.
So
got an excuse.
I went for a drive in a friend's. He just got a new Tesla.
Yep.
And this was the week before last, and I was actually very impressed. Now, I've been in a Tesla before, but when I don't know what it is about driving that I kind of like an engine. I think I'm just old school. Yep. I mean, I understand that, if you're going 0 to 60, Tesla's the fastest car on the planet.
Yep.
I get that they can beat Lamborghini, they can beat anybody they want.
Pretty much.
But I don't often do that. So, I don't know.
I see. I just would have thought with being a tech guy, there's all kinds of really interesting, cool tech in a Tesla that might have attracted you to it.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm afraid of Texas, so.
The reason why I ask is sorry, go ahead.
You do not want to be the guy in Texas with an electric car.
Why not?
I guarantee. No. They're all about oil. You gotta, if you're the guy in Texas that's blowing smoke out the back of your tailpipe, then you're golden. You don't want to be the guy with the electric car.
Sure, I guess I kind of understand that. The reason why I bring that up was because I posted a story on The Loop with regards to why expanding highways make traffic worse. It's always fascinating to me what stories get the most traction on The Loop, and this seemed to set a lot of people off. And basically the idea is that we shouldn't
I actually have an email that I have to forward to you.
Oh, really?
So can find me. Oh, yeah.
Well, you could put my name on the masthead. People could find me that way.
That's true. We should do that.
We should do that. It's been a lot of years.
Let's do it.
Please. Yeah, I've been asking you for years to do that.
No, you haven't.
Yes, I have.
You mentioned it once, and I laughed. So.
Oh, that's encouraging. So yeah.
No. Let right here, right now. Let's do it.
Good. Finally. The Brett Todarian, Brett is the city planner here in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, says if you build more roads, you get more driving. You build more lanes, you get more driving. You build better cars, you get more driving. Build ride-hailing, you get more driving. Build more. The idea is that we shouldn't be putting so much money into widening highways and increasing our highways. Interesting point that when you do that, you increase urban sprawl because most people want a 30-minute commute. That's kind of our maximum to be a comfortable commute. Right. Well, if the highways get better and traffic lessens, I can live further away. So I can live that 30 minutes away, but everyone else feels the same way. Everyone moves out there. Traffic gets congested again. The solution to a lot of our traffic congestion problems isn't building better avenues for cars. It's building ways to get people out of cars. Do you agree with that?
Well, I mean, this is a really difficult question because, like you said, okay, so let's say that the freeway that I take to work is really congested, so I carpool with people. Yep. But then they add 2 more lanes, and I don't need to carpool, so I can take my own car and leave when I want and get back when I want. Yep. And now I take my car, but all of a sudden that fills up because everybody else is taking their own car.
Same thing. That's right.
Yeah. You know, I get the argument, but I think in some places, like the Bay Area, you know, I actually can't leave to do anything after 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon because the freeways are going to be jammed. Yeah. I also can't really go out anywhere here if I'm going on the freeway. Let's say I'm going to Cupertino or San Jose. I really have to wait until 9 or 10 o'clock to leave because the roads are still jammed. So that leaves me from 10 o'clock to, 2 o'clock, 2:30 that I can do anything. Yeah. Because the roads are jammed the rest of the time. And I just don't have the patience to deal with that. So now I know. Now, if I lived in a place that didn't have that, it would be wonderful. If I could go out at, 3:30 in the afternoon and drive somewhere and, I don't know, get groceries or whatever. Oh my God, that would be just great. But you can't here. So, I mean, and they have widened the highways.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they did the same thing here. They did the same thing here in Vancouver. Before I left to go live in the States, the Trans-Canada was only 2 lanes. Imagine that, or a national highway, 2 lanes.
I know, right?
And they expanded it in sections to 3 lanes and put an HOV lane in. Fantastic. Traffic went smoothly. It went great. But after a few years, people they got out of public transit or they got out of carpooling and they went back into their single person vehicles. When I was driving in Vancouver, because motorcycles are allowed in the HOV lane regardless, I could get from downtown Vancouver to my home in Chilliwack, which is generally about a 90-minute trip, in about 45 minutes because I'm taking the HOV lane and there was nobody in it.
Yeah. That was a great band, by the way.
Which band? Which band?
Gone, gone, gone. Should be gone so long.
Right.
Should be gone, gone, gone so long.
Chilliwack, that's right.
Chilliwack. That was a great band.
It was a great song,
Canadian band. I love that.
But that was a perfect example of what he's saying here is that you build more lanes, people are just going to fill them up with more cars. It's like a hard drive. You get a bigger hard drive, you get more shit to put in your hard drive. But But what is the solution? I don't know if anyone knows a good, efficient solution. Straight up public transit, I don't know if that's a great solution. Straight up light rail, I think it's going to be a whole mix of a bunch of different things.
Well, I mean, there are some people, especially when you get into more urban areas, like New York, where rail is it.
Yep.
You want to go somewhere, that's the way to do it. And if you go to Europe, like you go to London, that's all I use there.
Yeah, the tube in London was great.
I love the tube. Yeah. I can go anywhere I want. And, you're within walking distance, basically, of anything that you want to do in London by getting on a tube and getting off at the closest station. You're right there.
Yep. And then you're only maybe a 5-10 minute walk from where you actually want to be.
Exactly. I mean, it's great. Yep. I love it.
By the way,
we're so spread out here that.
By the way, MacMan says he knows why Trump excluded the UK, because the UK isn't part of what's called the Schengen area, which is an area comprising 26 European states that have officially abolished all passports, basically the EU. The area mostly functions as a single jurisdiction for travel purposes. So because everyone can travel freely, Italians can travel freely to Paris, to Germany, that's why they're excluding them. Whereas those people cannot go into the UK freely because of Brexit, and they're being restricted. So that's why the UK. So maybe MacMan's trip to UK will still be on. I don't know about Dave D's trip to Ireland.
Yeah,
he didn't say whether it was Ireland or Northern Ireland. So, but it's not going to be a lot of fun for anyone. That's for sure.
No.
That brings up the other tourist question that we have in travel, tying all this stuff together. SpaceX tourist trips to the ISS space station going to cost $55 million. Now, if you had $55 million just lying around, everything else in your life was taken care of, would you go on this trip?
No.
Really? Why not?
No way.
Are you kidding me?
No, it's like a self-driving car. I'm going to let somebody else die first.
Dude, I would be on that flight in a freaking heartbeat.
Did you see the
10 days in space? Are you kidding me?
Did you see the people that volunteered to go on a one-way trip to Mars?
Well, that's a whole different thing. That's
I mean, I'm sitting there looking at them saying, no.
I don't want to go to Mars with you. That's right.
No. God, no.
So you're serious? Yeah. You wouldn't take this trip? You wouldn't go on this 10-day trip to the ISS?
No.
I wouldn't have expected. I thought you were more an adventurous spirit guy than that.
No, you know what? Turbulence on an airplane drive me crazy. Can you imagine
6 G's on a shuttle?
No, absolutely not.
See, I thought you'd say no because you'd have to shave your beard.
Why would I have to do that?
Because it wouldn't fit inside of a space mask, you goof.
Well, no.
Yeah, you're definitely not going.
No, I'm definitely not going.
But
not even for. No.
If I had Jeff Bezos' money, I'd be on that flight in a heartbeat. I'd do multiple trips. I'd just do it just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Oh hell yes, I would do that trip.
I don't get it.
MacMan says I'd leave skid marks getting to the Dragon capsule. I agree. The MacMan would be right behind you. Oh yeah,
no.
I'd do that. Oh, absolutely. Even if they said to me, you've got a 1 in 10 chance of this thing blowing up on the pad, I'd say, go ahead. I'll take that chance. To go into space? Hell yes.
No. Not going to do it.
Well,
Not gonna do it.
Not going to do it. Folks, but do you have any questions for
Oh,
me,
whoa,
Jim?
whoa, whoa,
Yeah,
whoa,
I know. I
whoa,
realize
whoa,
that's your
whoa,
new
whoa.
trend now. So now it's Jim question time.
I do have a question. The best pixel editor for Mac OS, Affinity Photo.
Yeah. The folks at the setup, which is the suite setup, which is kind of like a wire cutter type thing, picked Affinity Photo as the best pixel editor for the Mac OS. Now the difference is, now Jim, you don't know this. There's a difference between a pixel editor and an image editor. Lightroom is an image editor, so it basically works on the whole picture. Photoshop is a pixel editor. You can get down into Lightroom and change individual pixels. Photoshop. So Photoshop, you can use it to create images and to change images and manipulate images, but you manipulate them at the pixel level. And Affinity Photo, according to the folks at the Suite Setup, is the best for the Mac OS. And I wouldn't disagree with them. I've never used either app extensively for pixel editing. I've used Affinity Photo for image editing just to play around with the app, but I've always gone back to Lightroom. So that's the difference between the two. It's not an image editor, it's a pixel editor, and according to the Suite Setup, it's the best one out there.
So the image editor would be, I want to lighten this up.
Yes, the whole thing.
So a pixel editor, why would you even want to go down into a pixel? What would you possibly fix?
Good question.
Down there?
So say you wanted to remove the background of a model. You took a shot of the model, the background you don't like, the model's hair was blowing in the wind. Lightroom would have a difficult time removing the background out of that with a model's hair. Say there's wispy single strands of hair that are blowing in the wind. Whereas with a pixel editor, you can drill down all the way to the pixel level and remove the background that way. It's not an easy process, it's not a fast process, but it's certainly a better process in a pixel editor than it is in an image editor.
So so let me ask you this. If I said, Sean, you have one app that you can use for photography, what would it be?
Right now,
a pixel editor or an image editor?
I would pick an image editor because I'm manipulating the image itself, not the pixels.
Do you ever do the pixels?
No, I don't ever use Photoshop. I have used Photoshop in the past, but for the way I image, the way I manipulate my images, I don't need a pixel editor. I don't need that kind of fine control over the very small details of an image.
So who does need a pixel editor?
Well, graphic designers definitely use those. Oh my God. And more breaking news. Actor Tom Hanks diagnosed with coronavirus.
No.
On CNN right now, actor Tom Hanks says he and his wife, actress Rita Wilson, have been diagnosed with coronavirus. In a statement posted to Instagram, Hanks said the two were traveling in Australia when they were tested. What to do next? Christ. He says the medical officials have protocols that must be followed. Hanks will be tested, observed, and isolated for as long as public health and safety requires. Not much more to it than a one-day-at-a-time approach. That's Tom Hanks on Instagram.
Oh, my God.
As I said, unfortunately, it's going to continue to get worse before it gets better.
Well, if Tom Hanks gets it, then I'm staying in Mexico for like 4 weeks.
Right, exactly. Drown it with Corona. Sorry, drown it with Heineken.
I'll drown him with Heineken.
That's a real shame.
Jeez.
But he's got the best medical care in the world. He's got all the money in the world. He is, I'm assuming, a generally healthy guy. He's a little older, but it's not that much of a concern unless he was already immunosuppressed or compromised. I think he'll be fine. But yeah, it's kind of scary.
Oh my God. Well, okay.
And on that happy note, we're gonna let you go tonight.
All right.
On next week's show, Jim will be drunk and from Mexico. You won't want to miss that one. Thanks, Jim.
Well, I'll be drunk 4 or 5 days in. See, she hates me.
I don't blame her. I do not blame her at all. You did a horrible, horrible thing to her.
Oh God!
I hope you feel bad.
I do feel bad.
Good.
I mean, she's sitting there staring at me like I'm gonna eat you tonight.
Don't close your eye, asshole.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Sean.
Talk next week. See you.
Bye.
Folks, when we come back, we're going to talk about the Tranya Rimor. I know it's a confusing name and it's annoying, but we'll talk about that on the next segment. This is your Mac Life. Welcome back to Your Mac Life, folks. Thank you guys very much for joining us here on this Wednesday evening. Just heard the terrible news that Tom Hanks and his wife, Rita Wilson, have been diagnosed with the coronavirus, and hopefully their whole family is going to be well. Like I said, they've got the best medical care in the world, so there's no reason to believe that this will get worse for them, but they're now on quarantine for 14 days, certainly whatever else the Australian health
Australia's
authorities.
good at doing quarantine.
That's right, exactly.
Everyone, I told you guys, didn't I? Used to land in Australia and someone would come on and spray everybody with spray. They walk down the aisle with a can this hand. Psh.
What were they spraying?
The people.
No, what was the stuff in the spray can?
Oh, I don't know.
Did they tell you?
I don't know. It happened to my best friend.
Did they make
Sylvia,
an announcement?
she remembers she was an expatriate, a Brit, and she landed in Australia as a young girl, and someone got on and sprayed everybody.
Was there an announcement ahead of time?
I
I'd be like,
don't know.
get the hell away from me. That's funny. That is weird. That is a weird thing to think about. So the nice folks at Tranya, T-R-A, hang on, I'm going to cover up. Hang on, let me do it this way. Tranya is, let me get the URL, Tranya, sent me a set of their Rimor earbuds. Yeah, you guys can see that. You should be able to see that. Sorry. Post the URL in the IRC channel. Tranya, or Tranya. I'm not sure how to say their name properly. I'm sure I'm butchering it completely. They sent me this little set of earpods. Now, I am not a earpod user. I hated the ones that Apple originally put in with our iPhones. They never felt comfortable in my ear. They never made a decent seal, so they didn't sound very good. They fell out. I stopped using them. And I went with a better sounding, better set. I started out with Etymotix. I used Shure. I used a bunch of different ones. So I've never used AirPods. I no longer travel enough to justify AirPods. Where you looking at right now? I spend about 10 hours a day in this seat. I don't need AirPods. The only time I've ever actually used headphones is on long distance motorcycle trips. And earpods never fit under my helmet. Whenever you put the helmet on, they'd slide out. I did find Etymotix ones that had a hook in them. So the Apple's ear pods had that big bubble at the end and then the string coming down. That bubble will always catch in the helmet and pull out. But these Etymotics had a very thin shaft, and then the bit that when your ear in your ear was fairly thin, so they fit quite well. So for me, that's where I'm coming from. Now, as someone who doesn't wear AirPods, can't justify the price of them. Even if I did travel a lot, I think they're very expensive for listening to. And I don't know they're the best way to spend $300 here in Canada, AirPod Pros, I mean. So when the folks at Tranya, I'm not going to get the name right, said, would you like to review ours? I said, sure. What the heck? Send them to me. They did. There it is. This little egg. You can literally put it in your mouth.
I love that.
It's very tiny.
I really like it a lot.
This is the case. The case is also like the, I'll say it right, AirPods. The case is also a battery. It charges with USB-C in the back and has charging lights in the front. But it's very tiny. It's ridiculously compact. This fits in your jeans pocket. It fits in a purse. It fits, you put them in your mouth, like I said. And then it opens up. And when you open it up, the Tranya Rimors are in there. Like, from what I understand, AirPods are a bit of a pain to pull out. But they look like any other earbuds that you'd put, wireless earbuds that you put in using the Bluetooth technology. Obviously, there's two of them. Now, the first thing I noticed, and I don't know if this is a problem that they can fix, is it's just a bear to figure out which is the left one and which is the right one.
Did they not mark them?
Show me. Can you find an L or an R on those things? See what you're doing? See what you're doing right now?
I think
that's what I had to do. It's a giant. It's there.
It's not uplifted from the.
No.
There's no texture to it.
In between the two contacts, there's an R there, but it's very, very hard to see.
This one has an R too.
Yes. No. That one has the R. There's no L on this one. So if you look and don't see anything, that's the L. If you look and see something, that's the R. That's a bit of an annoyance. The other problem is, I don't know if you can see it on the camera. Melissa, can you notice that one of these covers is bigger than the other? Turns out one of my ears is a different shape. One thing you have to do when you have these removable tips, try different size tips in different ears. When I put both tips of the same size in, I noticed the left one hurt. So I went to a smaller size on the left ear pod.
How many tips do you get?
You get 3 sets.
Oh.
Small, medium, and large. So you get 6 tips. That was my problem, undoubtedly, with Apple's EarPods.
Oh.
I've got a different size ear.
Do they not have that option?
They don't. On the original EarPods, there was just that hard,
like a molded
plastic bit. The new ones do. The new ones actually will.
Don't they take the shape of your ear?
No, but they'll do a little audio test, and it will tell you which ones to use. These ones don't do that. The other downside is they're very tiny. They're very easy to lose, and if you don't get a good seal, this is true of any earbuds like this. If you don't get a good seal and these things pop off, same with AirPods, that's really easy to fall into a subway grate or into the dirt or never find them again. The other disadvantage of these, because they don't have the AirPods stock, is that to grab them, to readjust them in your ear to get them tighter and move them around, you're often touching the control surface. The back of it is the control surface. A single tap pauses audio, a double tap increases the volume on the right-hand side, a single tap pauses audio, a double tap lowers the audio on the left-hand side. So you got to kind of remember that. But just moving them around, I found I would pause audio or increase audio or decrease audio. Audio quality of them is very good. I was surprised. The volume level isn't very high. That's one of the downsides I found on it. I went to a YouTube video that had very heavy bass music to it and played it through these. They work with my iMac. They work with my iPhone. They work with any Bluetooth device. And I cranked up the volume on the Rimors, and it wasn't enough volume. If I'm listening to bass heavy music, I want you to just vibrate my skull. I want these things so bass heavy that it hurts. I want volume on my devices that could potentially deafen me. I'm not going to listen to it at that level, but I want it to be able to go up that high. These didn't. But the audio quality was very, very good. I was surprised how good the audio quality was on the music I tested it on. The call quality, not so good. I rarely use the phone, so that's not that big a deal to me. But when I made a couple of test calls to Jim Dalrymple, actually, he said it sounded okay. He could understand me. There wasn't any breakup, but the sound quality wasn't very good on these, and I don't know what the reasoning behind that or what caused that. The price point is fantastic. These are $80 on the Tranya website, but they're cheaper on Amazon.com, and they've sent us a coupon for 20% off. So if you're interested, you want to get these little things, you can send me an email and I'll send you the coupon code for Amazon.com, and you can use it and get 20% off the Amazon price. I don't know what the Amazon. Could someone go to Amazon and do a search? Tranya, Tranya, Rimor, Rimor, earbuds, and find out what the Amazon price for these things is. If you want a set of wireless ear pods. Oh, the other thing is, as a motorcyclist, it was very important that these things stayed in when I put my helmet on. I did several tests putting the helmet on and off because they're so small. The last thing in the world you want is on the side of the road, pull your helmet off, one of these things fly off into a ditch somewhere. They stayed in. Both of them stayed in. They don't provide a really good seal. I found I had to keep pushing it in to get a seal. So you can still hear a lot of the outside world. When I was testing this with Melissa this afternoon, I could still hear myself perfectly well. Even though the volume was completely cranked, I could still hear her perfectly well, even though the volume was completely cranked, because the seal wasn't as tight as I would have liked it to have been. But that might be the shape of my ears. That certainly is an issue I'm always warning people about when I test these things, is I obviously have odd-shaped ears. That being said, I have used other earbuds, my Etymotics in particular, which gave me a great seal. I could barely hear the outside world when I wore those, so that might be different. But the Etymotics were $300. These are less than $80. So if you're looking for a nice set of little tiny ear pods, these are really good. Just like the Apple AirPods, this is also a battery charging case. So they say you get 5 hours of continuous life on one charge, and that your case will charge your earpods up to 4 times. And a 10-minute charge will get you 90 minutes of battery life. So if you're listening for 5 hours straight and then need a charge, you drop them in there for 10 minutes and you get 90 more minutes of music. The only other downside, and again, that may be the shape of my ears, is that when they were in my ears for a long period of time, I'm talking almost 2 hours, they got very uncomfortable. And again, that might be my ear shape. Other people, I've read other reviews where people say they were perfectly comfortable for the entire 5 hour battery life. So it's Tranya, 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 Rimor, Rimor. These are the lowest price ones they've got there. They've got a bunch of different models. I'd like to try the bass heavy ones and see if there's more volume on the bass heavy ones and more oomph to it. They're still good bass. If you don't listen to a lot of EDM type music or a lot of bassy kind of music, these would be fine. If you do listen to that kind of music, you might want to spend a few more bucks and get one of the more bass heavy ones. They are IPX5 waterproof, which is wrong. IPX5 is not waterproof. It's water resistant. So you can get them a little damp, but you can't submerge them. They've got Type-C USB fast charging, Bluetooth connection, multiple modes, a 10 millimeter dynamic driver. I don't know if that means anything to anybody. And they've got passive noise cancellation. The problem with that is I didn't find it to work very well, but it wasn't a big concern for me. Certainly it doesn't work as well as a Bose set of noise canceling, active noise canceling, or even the Apple AirPods noise canceling. But again, they're less than $80 compared to $300 for the Bose or the AirPods. Sherry says they're $70 on Amazon.com, Amazon.ca with a $5 coupon, and I think there's 20% off with that. So MacMan says NBA season suspended starting tomorrow with a player tested positive. All jury trials are suspended in Seattle. Wow. Again, This is going to get worse before it gets better. The concern is, what do we as individuals do about this stuff now? I don't know if it's... Do you think these kind of things are a panic? Canceling jury trials, canceling NBA events. You think these people are panicking?
Specifically panicking, but we don't know if it's to no avail. But it is a panic. Isn't it like a knee-jerk reaction right now for something that is warranted? With
the WHO officially declaring this as a pandemic, they did that today. That's it's one of those triggers, one of those crossing points where you better start paying attention. And that's more directed at world governments and healthcare organizations more so than, you and I. Again, as long as you are taking reasonable precautions, if you can work from home, work from home. If you check with your employer what their paid time off policy is, encourage them to have one if they don't. Talk to your local politicians and find out, is there anything they can do about making employees honor paid time off for people, not requiring doctor's appointments. One of the issues that people have said on Twitter, I can't even get in to see my doctor for a week or 10 days. So that means that if I need a doctor, if I'm feeling bad, I need a doctor's appointment, I'm going to go to the emergency room. I'm going to go to the free clinic. So those places are going to be packed.
I was surprised how empty the doctor's office was yesterday when I went with Damon.
Really?
I looked around and I said, oh my gosh, if you came for a drop-in right now, you would get in really quickly.
I was there a Friday ago and it was the same thing. Now, there was 5 people in the waiting room. I only had to wait 10 minutes before I got to see my doctor.
You had an appointment.
I had an appointment. But half those 5 had masks on. And that makes you nervous. Because you don't know if they're wearing the mask for the right reasons or they're wearing the mask because they think they won't get sick if they wear a mask. Maybe they are wearing the mask because they are sick.
And they don't want to spread anything.
And they don't want to spread it, which is good, but it still makes you a little bit nervous. Scary stuff going on, folks. This is
it is.
This is, well, and then I'll ask you, do we cancel our trip to the big city?
Well, no, because I actually want to go and I'm sorry, this might sound weird. I want to go buy food and toilet paper.
Are we going to hoard toilet paper? Why are people hoarding toilet paper? What did you say?
I think I said it doesn't give you the...
Say it. Say it.
It doesn't make you shit. It
exactly.
doesn't give you the shits.
It doesn't give you diarrhea.
It's just a weird thing.
Why are you hoarding toilet paper?
No.
And it's not just America. We're not just making fun of Americans. Our friend Di has gone back to Australia, and she showed what?
It's a squeaky toy.
Oh, jeez. And she showed pictures of their. What's the store there called? It's the same as a store here, but different. The big Coles.
Coles. Yes.
It's a grocery store for us Canadians. Really?
He's very fired up right now.
For us Canadians, it used to be a bookstore, but the shelves were denuded of toilet paper. So even Australians are hoarding toilet paper for some bizarre reason. Sherry, I tell you, the bidet attachment I bought for my toilet last year turned to be a really good investment.
Oh, I love the bidet attachment.
So but you wouldn't let me get one.
No, you wanted a whole bidet.
I want a bidet, heated, lit. The whole damn deal. You got wood.
Plastic now.
But, DH, you just need the supplies for a 14-day quarantine. Again, I don't think there's reason for most of us to push the panic button, but you should be concerned. You should wash your hands regularly. You should, cough into your arm. Minimize your exposure to large crowds. Don't go to sporting events. Even if the NBA was on and I was a season ticket holder, I wouldn't go to a game. I'd watch it on TV or whatever.
Yep.
I wouldn't go to a hockey game right now. As bad as that would hurt me if I could afford to go to a hockey game, I wouldn't go. That's not panic. People are saying, well, it's not 1,000 people die from the flu every year. Why are we? Yeah, but the flu has a vaccine. This doesn't. And this, as far as we can tell, can you guys hear that? The squeaky toy for the dog. the flu has a 0.1% fatality rate. This so far has about a 3% fatality rate, depending on the numbers. Significantly larger. It's still only 3%. The odds are against you dying from it, but let's not let it spread. Self-manage. Take care of yourself. Take care of the people around you. Jim was telling a story of a guy whose daughter, he had 2 daughters. One of them was tested positive, so he took the other one to the father-son dance. No!
Oh.
Do you not know how this stuff works, you moron? So yeah, just be careful.
So what is that? I know that in in Korea they were doing the quick swab of people's cheeks and inside their nasal passage.
Yes.
So I guess, is that the test? Is that what it is now?
Yes, so then what they do, they put that, it has a number on it that's associated with you. They put it in, they test.
Yeah.
But the test takes time.
No, I
It's
know.
not
I'm just
instantaneous.
I wasn't sure yet if there was a change in that test, but it's just the swab right now.
And the problem is we just don't have enough of them right now. There's just not enough to go. No matter what Trump says, not everyone in the U.S. can get a test.
No.
Even if they could afford it, not everyone can get one because they just don't have enough test kits available.
Yeah. Wow.
So to a certain degree, you have to take care of yourself and your family and your friends just by minimizing your risk.
Well, and we're cut off. I mean, if there's circumstances where maybe some of the trucks haven't gotten in, or ferry, like when the population starts to swell over here with visitors, often the shelves you'll go, they'll be empty. There'll be things that aren't.
Because the tourists have come over.
And the tourists have come over. And so I feel more that I want to stock up.
I think sorry, I'm fixing the camera, folks. I think one of the things that we'll see happen is that won't happen. I think that, as I said on the loop, this could be, and I said to you, this could be the summer without tourists. I can see a lot of people, certainly not traveling to Europe. No. Even after any ban is lifted, people will still hold back. I think this is going to hurt the tour. If you're in a tourist town, you're going to notice a lot fewer tourists. That's not a bad thing unless you work in the industry.
Or your business. Your business
exactly.
is that industry.
That's right.
That's
exactly.
That carries your family over for most of the year.
If you're a small campground somewhere, if you rent canoes
and the boat
on a
all
lake,
the boats here and the ferries,
it's going to affect things. But it's not the end of the world. We'll
be all right.
Most of us will recover from this from a financial point of view. I worry about those people who can't take the time off of work, who work in the industry, service industry, who work in the food industry, who just simply cannot take the time off.
That's how it will. Nothing against those people, but that's how it will end up spreading like that.
I think that's exactly what's going to happen. Ushers who work at 2 Broadway theaters contract coronavirus. Those $50 tickets aren't looking so good anymore. So as more of these stories come out, people will say, I'm not going on that. That's why I wish Monty was here. People are going to say, that great deal on that. I could not believe that Carnival Cruise Lines said the most amazing thing about, we'll give you, come on our cruise, we'll give you a $200 voucher. Fuck you! Carnival Cruise just said your life's worth $200 in drink tickets.
Yeah, really?
That's just obscene to try to make money off of this stuff, off people's greed, off of their desire for a vacation in the time of stay home kind of stuff. Can you guys hear this dog?
Well, Sherry's so cute. She says, I hear the squeaky.
I think I can show.
He is just.
There he is. Oh. I can't. There we go. There he is.
It's like when you're on the phone and your kid bugs you. We're doing the show and he's come in. It's like, enough, off, you guys.
He loves his squeaky.
Sean got his squeaky toy.
I did.
Well, actually, Bruno chose his squeaky toy.
Yeah, he ripped it off the shelves. He literally went up and grabbed the thing and pulled over a whole display of squeaky toys. This is what he does. He just lies there like this, squeaking.
Oh, everyone, we are smitten. He is the
he
best.
He is the cutest thing
just
in the
most
world.
Wonderful little dog. I didn't think I was going to fall in love so much.
Yes. All right, we'll let it go with that. Folks, thank you guys very much for joining me here this Wednesday evening. On next week's show, we'll do, does gear make you a better photographer?
Sherry, I love him so
That's
much.
Right. Everyone does.
so sweet.
He's a great little dog. Folks, that's it for tonight's show. Thank you guys very much for being tuned in as always. Thanks to Jim Dalrymple for being here. Thanks to Bruno, for the comedy relief. And thanks to you guys for tuning in live or listening into the archive. We appreciate you guys being tuned in. As always, I'm Sean King.
I'm Melissa King.
And you're listening to Your Mac Life. See ya!
Bye.